Hallo, meine sehr gute Freundin. Hier ist dein bester Freund im Welt, Sam. And right off the bat, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Sam, I had no idea your German was so flawless, and that you were literally the reincarnation of the poet Heinrich Heine. And yeah, obviously, it's me, Heinrich, and you're welcome for my massive contribution to the world of poetry and Western discourse. But yeah, let's not dwell on that as massive as it is. Let's dwell instead on Max. Specifically, I want to talk about some cool physics stuff, and also I want to talk about something I'm going to try in the context of this video, which is going to be at various points throughout making this patch. What I want to do is save the patch as it is at that moment, and then what I'm going to do is upload each of those patches, each of those little stepping stones, as it were, on the way to the final oeuvre, the eventual massive earth-shaking patch that will be the last one. And hopefully that maybe, I don't know, will give you a better sense. Maybe it'll be useful. We'll find out, I guess. We'll learn something together, which will be, maybe you learn things all the time, but I feel like I haven't learned anything since 2002. So let's forge ahead, shall we? So we're going to do physics stuff, and therefore the first thing that we want to do before anything else is save. And for reasons that will become obvious later, I'm going to save this first patch as Lava 0. So, building off Lava 0, the first thing that we want to do is make a physics context. No, that's not right. We need three things. A place to render to, so a P window or a matrix. A JIT-GL render, that's actually going to be the thing that we bang to make rendering happen. And finally, we need a phys world, which is going to be the physics world that holds all our physics objects. And I apologize for the incredibly loud sounds outside my window. Apparently, the Berlin space program is getting off the ground right here on Boxhagener Straße. And of course, it's not anyone organized it's not people who know what they're doing who are behind it. It's just random drunk Berliners who are outside banging metal together and making wave music and hoping they'll get to the mood eventually. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. I should be talking about p-window. So jit.pwindow. Just keep talking, Sam. That's a good use of people's time. At name, and I'm going to name it Freddy. Jit p-window at name Freddy. Freddy is the name of our graphics context, and we have to name our p-windows so that we know our render objects can know where to draw. And I like Freddy. I think Freddy is a nice name. Even though the only Fred I ever knew was this kid who used to beat me up in high school, which was super mean of him. I don't know why he did that, but I hope he turned out okay. And now we're going to add a jit.gl.render and give it the @drawTo attribute Freddy, so that this render will be rendering to this Freddy. Trigger, bang, bang, erase. This is how I like to set my stuff up. So what this means is that on every bang of the metronome, first thing that's going to happen is this JIT-GL render is going to be erased. Last thing that's going to happen is we're going to draw the next frame, and in the middle we can send pre-render. We can send a bang to this named send pre-render, so that in case we want to do something before we render the frame, we'll have an opportunity to do that. Finally, a QMetro 33, QMetro 33 with a toggle up here. Connect the toggle to the QMetro and the QMetro to the trigger, and now we should be able to render some nothing. So we've rendered a massive field here of super dark gray, everyone's favorite color. If OpenGL had a flag, it would look like this. This would be the proud color of the great nation of OpenGL. A sad place where, no, yeah, it wouldn't be a sad place. It just wouldn't be, God, I don't know, what would the nation of OpenGL be like? Battle it out in the comments. So in any case, this is our basic boilerplate GL stuff set up. So I'm going to save this as Lava 1. Lava 1 is ready to go. The next thing that we need to do is add some physics here. So I'm going to make a jit.phys.world and attach my jit.phys.world to my jit.gl render so that it is now bound to that jit.gl render. And we would be able to see the world box. Of course, this phys adds a world box and a bunch of other stuff. But we can't because there's no jit.gl.physdraw, which is how we see the various physics odds and ends in the world. We can't see any of them now because the camera is in the middle of the world box, so we can't see its edges. But that is easy enough to fix by coming into this JIT-GL render, moving the camera back. Where is camera? Yes, camera to 0, 0, minus 17. Is that good? I'll just make this 0, 0, 17. Can we now? Yeah, let's leave it at 0, 0, 17. That's pretty good. We can see the whole world box here. That's kind of awesome. Actually, let's just leave it. Okay, so it's fine. And you'll notice I also froze this attribute. And what that means is that when we close and relaunch this patch, that attribute will be saved. So now if I come up here, I'm also going to add a load mess 1 up here to start this toggle automatically. And that should be good. And I'm going to save this now as lava 2. And if we close this patch and open it back up, open recent patch lava 2, you can see everything. Everything is saved just where we left it. And that's all because I came in and froze that camera attribute. So you can see it's kind of blue, and this freeze here is down. We could unfreeze it, but we're going to leave it frozen for now. Cool. So there's our physics world. Next thing we need to do, obviously, is add some objects to this physics world. And we could add one ball, but before we add that one ball, let me alert you to the possibility that we could also add 32 balls. Think about how great that would be. Think about how much cooler it is to have. Think about all the moments in your life when you had 32 balls, and thinking back on those moments, how great it was to have 32 balls and not just one ball, and how far you would come from those other darker moments when there was only one ball in your life. I know I've had a lot of 32 ball moments in my life, and I'd like to recreate those now in the virtual world of my computer. So to do that, we're going to use a jit.phys.multiple object. Now, how does jit.phys.multiple work? Well, you could open the help file, and the help file is very helpful, but instead, let's listen to me talk about it. So jit.phys.multiple takes one argument, and that first argument is how many matrices to expect. You also need to set an attribute on jit.phys.multiple called physparams. And physparams tells jit.phys.multiple how to interpret each of the matrices that it gets. So in this case, if we call our jit.phys. Let's open the help file. So looking at the help file, turns out the help file is actually pretty helpful. If you look at the help file, you'll see this jit.phys.multiple has the argument 3, and the @physparams attribute is set to position, scale, and force. That means that it expects to get 3 matrices, so it has 3 inlets, and these are labeled position array, scale array, and force array, because the attribute is position, scale, force. And that means that this matrix, jit.phys.multiple, expects to describe the position of all the objects. The middle one, it should describe a scale, the size of each object, and the final matrix should describe a force on each object. And it's the size of the matrix that determines how many objects this jit.phys.multiple is going to create. So here this JIT matrix has a dimensionality, No, it has 3 planes. One plane for X, one for Y, and one for Z. And the size of the matrix is 4 by 4 by 4. So that should be 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. That should put 64 objects into this physics context. So you see on load bangs this matrix, this sets the values of each cell, and that's how this jit.phys.multiple knows when we start this noise up to make 64 beautiful, amazing spheres. So that's pretty cool, and I'm a little bit jealous, so let's do exactly that. Down here in our little thing, let's make a jit.phys.multiple that expects 1 matrix input and give it the argument position. Or rather, set the physparams attribute to position. Make a jit.noise. We'll just send a matrix of noise in. 3 planes, X, Y, and Z. Float 32 is a great data type. 32 float, who wouldn't want that? And we'll make 32 balls. And it will become clear later why 32 is such a great number of balls to have. Cool. So we'll also make a bang to send to force jit.noise to output. And look at that! Look at our 32 balls there in the world. Oh my god, this is the greatest thing that has ever happened. And now we can... Oh, I haven't added a jit.gl. I'm deeply, deeply sorry and embarrassed that I forgot to add the jit.phys picker that will allow us to fling these balls through space. I'm really sorry about that. That is obviously the most important thing. Look at, yes. Oh man, you see, this for me, like these days when I have to work on anything related to computers, yeah, at the end of the day, you got to justify it to someone and you got to say, oh, look, man, don't worry, it's going to scale to 1 million billion users and it will connect people's moms to their face, Twitter, chat, ad revenue, SEO, everything. And it's like, what happened? You know what I mean? This for me as a kid, this was it. This was all you needed to justify a computer was could you fling virtual balls through virtual space? And I'm all about, I mean, look at this. Beautiful. You know, let's return to this. What am I even talking about? I don't know. Let's throw a load bang. Jesus, Sam. Let's throw a load bang in here that will bang on this bang because we're banging on our bangs, and that's great. Save this as lava 3. And now if we close this and open it back up, open recent patcher, lava 3, look at that, our balls are waiting for us. Just wonderful. So that's pretty cool. Of course, now it would be desirable for these balls to look more like balls, I think. It's a desirable thing. So let's add a jit.gl.multiple. The way to make multiple physics objects is with a jit.phys.multiple. The way to draw multiple objects is with a jit.gl.multiple, naturally. Now, our jit.phys.multiple is squirting out a position matrix and a rotate matrix. So let's make our jit.gl.multiple expect 2 different matrix inputs by giving it the argument 2 and setting the GL params attribute to be position and rotate. And no, I don't know why my voice has taken on this weird tonality either. It's a little bit jarring, isn't it? But anyway, let's connect this matrix input to this matrix output to this input and this output to this input. And let's throw a jit.gl.grid shape up in this noise also. And oh, look at that, beautiful. We've got these, now our balls are looking like balls. And let's throw a jit.gl.material in here. Oh, and look at those wonderful 1996 graphics in all their glory. This is the height of accomplishment. I'm very, very proud of all the work that we've done. Let's go ahead and save this as lava 4. Now, we've got our balls, we can fling them through space, that's awesome, but I would like to make some sound. And to do that, I'm going to add in here an OSCBank tilde object. Now, OSCBank is really cool. What OSCBank does is it gives you, one oscillator is just a sine tone. OSCBank gives you a whole bank of them, a whole bunch of them, and it lets you individually set the amplitude and frequency of each one, and it's great for making these kind of harmonic series. I'm going to open up the help file and come over to floats here and just copy this entire thing, because why not? And paste that down in here. Cool. So now maybe you see, notice there are 32 partials here, and that may be a dead giveaway for why I decided to make 32 balls in this 32 ball pit. I'm just going to move this down over here. And so what's coming out of this jit.phys.multiple here is going to be a matrix, a position matrix, where plane 1 is x, plane 2 is y, plane 3 is z. The y position is the height of each ball, and because I have 0 creativity whatsoever, I'm just going to map the height of each ball to the strength of each one of these partials. Now, to get the second plane of this matrix as a list, I'm going to use the jit.spill object. Jit.spill takes a matrix and outputs a list. And we're interested in the y plane, which is plane 1. Plane 0 would be the x plane, and plane 2 would be the z plane. So we'll throw this over here. These values are going to be between -4 and 4 because our box has height 5. So we will scale from -4 to 4, 0 to 1. Scale, of course, can work on a list or an individual number. Hook that up to here. And look at this. This is hopefully you can see this, but as I adjust the height of each one of these balls, it's changing the height of an individual partial. How awesome is that? And what does it sound like, you may ask? Well, let's make a load mess here, minus 50. Connect that to this live gain. Don't tell me that's not awesome. Come on, this is tremendous. This is... Oh, man. I can't tell you how hard it is for me at this point not to just make a 60-minute video that is flinging virtual balls into the air and listening to this cool kind of metallic, oh god, it's so cool. Ugh. Alright, but I know how much cooler it's going to get, so let's keep going. Okay, turn off the sound for now. Well, wait, first... Okay, hold on. Let's save this as Lava 5, and now let's turn off the sound for now. And so this is pretty cool, but I'm sick of having to fling these balls in the air. It is exhausting. Let's find a way to do it automatically. So to do that, we're going to add some ghosts to our physics world. Now, a ghost is nothing more than a force field. We can define a big region of our physics world in which these objects are going to feel a force. And what we're going to do is use that, since we're interested in making art, we're obviously going to use those ghosts to make a lava lamp. So what is a lava lamp? A lava lamp is really two force fields. You have a big column in the center that sucks all your objects up towards the top, or pushes them towards the top, I guess. And you have a big sort of pool at the bottom that collects all your little globules of oil or whatever, pulls them to the center so they can be sucked and flung. God, that sounds horrible when I describe it. It's like, it's such a meditative object to look at, but to describe in terms of pulling, forcing, and sucking, it really sounds like a horrible kind of thing to be involved in. I'm really sorry, I apologize for that, but let's forge ahead anyway by making two jit.gl.ghost objects. No, sorry, jit.phys.ghost. Phys.ghost. Yeah. Let's make two of those, and we can actually describe exactly what these ghosts should be like simply by defining their attributes. So I'm going to come into the inspector here, and this is going to be our suck column. No giggling. This is going to be the suck column, and the suck column needs to be a cube first of all, and I'm going to freeze this cube, the shape attribute. We want it to be very tall but also skinny, so I'm going to scale it to 151. Now you see it's this nice tall skinny thing, and I'm also going to freeze the scale, and finally we need to give it a force. Now remember, the force of gravity is 9.8 meters a second, so the force in the center has to be meters per second squared rather, and so the force in the center has to be at least greater than that. I'm going to make it 30. 0, 30, 0. And look at that, we're flinging balls to the ceiling with reckless abandon. We'll freeze that as well. And now we've made this beautiful column in the center that's sucking up our balls, which is great. I think I'm happy that that's the case, and you should be happy as well. And I'm going to throw in 3 adder UIs here. Your adder UIs probably won't look quite like this because this is an internal adder UI that I've been working on because I'm so goddamn cool like that. And we'll set these to scale, force, and what was the last one? Scale, force, and shape. And this is just so we can see what each of these things is, which is kind of handy when we load our patch. Finally, let's save this as Lava 6. And this JitFizz Ghost, we got, what, I apologize, I don't know what's going on outside. They're refueling the rocket now, and they're filling the Berlin space program flagship rocket ship or whatever outside is being filled up with Club Mate and Berliner Pilsner as we speak. The whole rocket, filling the entire rocket with the 600 million gallons of beer that will power it, actually in Berlin only costs €4.50, true story. So this JitFizz Ghost, I'm going to set, this is going to be our sort of collection thing at the bottom. So instead of being tall and skinny, I want this one to be broad and flat. So I'm going to scale it 515, 515, and it can't be a sphere, it has to be a cube. So now you can see we've got this kind of band going here. I'm going to freeze the shape and freeze the scale. So those will load up when we save this, or rather when we reload it, those will be correct. The position is in the middle. I don't want it in the middle. I want it near the bottom. So if I give it the position 0, -4, 0, now it's sitting at the bottom, which is great. We'll freeze that as well. And finally, we need to set this central force. So on the suck column in the middle, we set the force because it was shooting things upward. But we want this collection thing to always pull objects towards the center. So we set the central force instead. And I'll set this to -20. Negative means pull towards the center, whereas positive would mean push away. We want to pull towards the center, so we set it to -20. And I'll freeze that. And now, look at that, baby. We set up our lava lamp, and it looks amazing. I'm just going to copy these adder UIs so we can see the shape, force, scale. Did I screw that up? No, I didn't. And so let's see, we want to set the scale, force, shape, and position. And this should be central force. Perfect. Save that as lava 6, and now we're basically done. Just for giggles, let's turn the sound back on. Oh my god, listen to the beautiful soundscape we've created. Oh. We are the most powerful artists in the known universe. What a wonderful, meditative... Oh, I had supposed to do 5 more hours of work today. I think instead I'll sit here and listen to this noise generation machine I've made. What a... God. It's so cool. And people wonder what Max is useful for. Try doing that in GarageBand. Good luck. Why am I so bitter? I actually think GarageBand's pretty great. Cool. So the last thing that's obviously we're gonna do, we've been out of time for a long time, but first thing let's do is make an adder UI, the GL picker, FizzDraw to enable so that we can turn off our world box and just look at these beautiful spheres. And the last thing that we can do is change the erase color. I don't know if you know this or not, but the cool thing that you can do with the erase color is make it transparent. And then these balls will have awesome trails. And who wouldn't want ball trails? There, I promise that'll be the last silly ball pun in this entire video. Cool, so there's the erase color. Let's save this as lava bonus. And I don't know, we could also change the color of these balls. You know, it might be cool. Oh, my battery's almost dead on my recorder. Well, we could do more stuff, but let's leave it here. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that was educational, fun, tabulous, whatever. And I hope you got something useful out of that, in spite of how useless the entire endeavor may have seemed throughout. But in any case, thanks for watching. And let me just throw this in at the end. If there is anybody out there in the Berlin area and you would like to, I'd love to get in touch if you want to talk about music or what you're doing or any projects you're interested in or working on. I'm really keen to sort of interview and meet more people who are doing interesting things with music, especially experimental music, both for myself, just to kind of do more writing, and also to maybe generate some content for Cycling74, post some stuff you're doing up on the company blog. I think it would be pretty fan-dabby-babulous to invent a non-existent and silly word. So again, thanks for watching, and guten Abend, schönes Tag, and auf Wiedersehen.